You guys, where are you guys from? Good, man. Cool. You guys, Italy. Where, sorry? Juventus, Italy. Both of you, yeah? Inter Milan. You guys? Mexico, nice. Man United. Spain, nice. Football team? Real Madrid, of course. You guys? Are Bristol City fans? You wearing an Arsenal shirt? Or you're from Bristol City? So, welcome to Wembley Stadium. Just a show of hands. Who has been to the old Wembley Stadium before? Nice, couple of you. Who has been to this Wembley before? Couple of you. And then who's first time here at the stadium today? Nice. Always tends to be the case. Few more. Welcome. Now, Wembley Stadium is home to one team, England. Okay. It has never been home to any other team, unfortunately, than Tottenham Hotspur. And that was because their new stadium was being built, so they played here for 1 year. Of course, other than that, England are the only team to play here in terms of calling it their home stadium. Of course, we are very well known for hosting a plethora of other events, with the Community Shield being this Saturday, Manchester United versus Manchester City. Okay, so many different events happen here over the years, and we will discuss a lot of those today. Now, Wembley Stadium, 90,000 seats in the building, making us the largest stadium here in the UK and the second largest in Europe, just behind Barcelona's Camp Nou. However, at the moment, they very, very kindly flattened their stadium for us, so we win for a little bit. Okay, but yeah, 90,000. Down the bottom, 37,000 seats. Okay, that is the same size as Leicester City's King Power Stadium, one Premier League football club. Or, well, maybe not after this season. We'll see how they play. On this tier, we then have 17,000 seats, which is roughly the same size as the QPR Stadium, okay, second English football club. You then have two tiers of private boxes, level 3 and level 4, indicated by the long number. The number at the front, of course, then indicates the box it is. You guys can see a box just up there, 4001. That belongs to Mr. Noel and Liam Gallagher. For those of you who don't know, Noel and Liam Gallagher, two very famous artists here in the UK, a member of the group Oasis. They are very famous for one thing, it's not singing. Absolutely hating each other. Okay? And for some reason, we stuck them in the same room. That was always an interesting one on game day. And on the opposite side of the stadium, exactly the same location, but opposite side, is David Beckham. Okay, he's got a box up there as well. Most of those boxes do tend to go to corporate clients, for example, EE, the main sponsor of the stadium, Nike, the main sponsor of the England team. Okay, and they run all the way around. And then up on level 5, okay, there are 39,000 seats up the top there. Yeah, it's the same size as Chelsea's Stamford Bridge. Okay, again, may not be a Premier League team if they carry on the way they are at the moment. So 3 English football clubs can fit inside this stadium. Everybody knows the country Andorra, little country by Spain. Yeah, their entire global population can fit inside this stadium, and the whole of level 2 is still empty. Okay, it's a pretty big stadium. Alongside that, we actually have 3 world records. The first is that every single seat in the building is covered by the roof. Okay, you may be thinking, hold on, mate, there's a hole in it. Technically, you're right, but above the roof, you can see like a grey square. That's actually a retractable roof, both sides. It comes across one day before a game, fully covering every single seat. Okay? The reason for that, in the UK, it normally does one thing. Anyone want to help me out? It rains, there you go. Okay, so we want to keep all the bumps on seats nice and dry. And it's shut one day prior to sort of prevent any overnight rainfall from getting to the seats. Okay? However, the pitch always remains outdoors. Okay? That's because the Football Association, the FA, whose offices are just up there at the back, they believe that football is an outdoor sport. So no matter the weather, sun, rain, wind or snow, it will always be played outside. Okay? So we like to say the only thing getting wet here is Harry Kane's dodgy haircut. And that's right down there. Now, that roof does take 45 minutes to an hour to close, but at the moment, as you can feel, you have a nice breeze going through the stadium. And that is because we are maintaining our pitch, and allowing that wind to come through gives it the best growing conditions possible. And we will go on to that a little bit later on when we head down to the pitch side, like the group down there. Okay? Now, the second world record today, it's above your heads. Now, anyone who's been to the old stadium, put your hands up again. And there's a few of you down here. Can anyone tell me what is absent or what is missing from the inside of this stadium? Mainly still your view. there was the towers, yeah, and around the inside you had big concrete pillars, okay, that held up the roof. And unfortunately, if you just pay 200 quid to come and watch England, you actually pay 200 quid to come and hear England, because you can't see through a massive concrete pillar. And of course, we wanted to eliminate that in this stadium. So if you look around you, there is nothing obstructing your view of the pitch. And that is because of our arch. It is not just there for the vanity, it's not just there to look pretty, okay, that's why I was employed. No, it is there to hold up our roof, okay? From end to end, over 300 metres long, and it's 135 metres tall from bottom to top. So tall that if the London Eye was 1 metre smaller, you know the big white wheel in central London? If it was 1 metre smaller, you could roll it straight underneath. We are yet to try that for security reasons, but we could theoretically do it. Now, the third and final record. It's my favourite, hopefully going to be yours as well. Out of any other building in the entire world, we have one thing that no one else does. The world's most amount of toilets. Okay, we're very, very proud of that one. We have 2,618 toilets. It is a record here, okay? But they are very needed, because on an average, one game alone, we go through 54,500 litres of beer alone. Not gin, wine, Coca-Cola, water, okay, no alcohol, just beer. And it needs somewhere to go, okay? Speaking of somewhere to go, we're going to grab our stuff and we are going to go back inside. We will come out a little bit later, as you can see by the grip down on the pitch. But for now, take your final photo, and again, try and move nice and closely as a group. However, maybe France. I always like to back France, they're always quite good. Brazil, they're quite well known for winning a World Cup at this stage. Nearly 6 of them at this point, so follow me. Good question. So, I pointed out a couple of different levels. Now, I did say there's 5. Down the bottom, those are the cheapest tickets in the house, okay? But they do sell out the fastest, so you've got to be there ready and waiting, okay? They're the ones you'd sort of come to expect to be buying on an event day. However, like I say, they do sell out the quickest and they resell for an awful lot more. Up on level 2 here, yes, it looks very posh and very fancy. It is. However, it's not actually super expensive, okay? You can buy a membership to come up here, called a Club Wembley membership. It's about £7,000 a year, which, hear me out, is not too bad, because you get access to every single FA organised event. That includes both semi-finals, the final of the FA Cup, the Charity Shield, like is this weekend, as well as playoffs, EFL finals, the Carabao Cup. You also get a few England games chucked in there. Lionesses games are coming in there as well. So realistically, if that's your sort of thing, it's not too bad. Packages are then also catered, and you get a free bar sometimes depending on the event. So personally, if your thing's not going to Disneyland or something, maybe a Club Wembley membership is not too bad. Also on this area, it's also only about £30 on top of the tickets you'd be paying down on level 1. So it's really not too bad, and as you can tell, you get about that much padded on your seat. You do still have to pay a lot for the food and the drink and things like that, but you get nicer toilets, which in itself is probably worth the extra 30 sometimes. Up on level 3 and 4, those are the private boxes. They are looking around about £17,000 a game, or £1.7 million a year. So if you do own one, please invite me. They are rather nice, and I don't get to go out there very much. However, up there is also home to a university called UCFB. It allows you to study the business, the finance, the marketing behind sports. It's a really good option to have a look into, especially if you're looking to go to uni in the future. There's lots of international campuses, and we have many placements over in the US as well, and we also can study baseball, American football, all that jazz as well. We actually have a guy on his way back from spending the last 3.5 months in Florida, working at Disney World, seeing how the events over there work as well. So it's a really good opportunity to do. Then up on level 5, those are the highest tickets, okay? They do tend to be pretty cheap as well. So if you want to save yourself a couple of quid, go and sit up on level 5. However, if you don't like heights, if you don't like being up high, please don't sit up there. okay? It's very high. However, you do see a fantastic view of the stadium. You get to see absolutely everything, and trust me, when it's concert season, watching that stadium come alive is brilliant. And of course, when it comes to cheap tickets, you get the rowdiest fans, okay? So it's a great atmosphere as well. Now, of course, the Olympics, pretty big event going on at the moment in Paris. Have we all been watching? Yeah? Pretty much, yeah? Cool. So the Olympics, thus far, have only been hosted 3 times in 2 cities. Now Paris, and the second time was London, okay? So London hosted it 3 separate occasions. The first in 1908, the second in 1948, and the third, most recently in 2012, as I'm assuming most of you will remember, okay? Now 1948 was the first time we hosted it at the stadium, because before that, this stadium didn't exist, no point in talking about it. And the 1948 Olympics was a very different type of Olympics. It was just after the Second World War. It was known as the Austerity Games, okay? Now, because of that, there was absolutely no funding in the Olympic Society whatsoever. So all of the events we had in the 1948 Olympics had to be held here at the stadium, okay? That then allowed us to do track and field events. We built a track, as you can see from some of the photos, going around the outside of the field, okay? Also, because there was no funding, all of our athletes had to pay for their own, for themselves. Their own food, drinks, their own accommodation, everything like that. None of it was included, okay? 2012, however, was the complete opposite end of the spectrum. And instead of having no money, we had way too much money, we didn't know what to do with it. So over in Stratford, we built that Olympic Village. And personally, I love the Olympic Village because in many other cities, you'll see these stadiums getting abandoned, they go derelict. For example, the Qatar World Cup in 2022, as we saw, a lot of those stadiums now don't get used. However, that was not the case for us because the aquadrome for the swimming, the velodrome for the cycling, and of course the Olympic Stadium, now home to West Ham United, they all get used on a daily basis, okay? So it's a definite good investment from us. However, back to 1948, it was definitely a different type because we had some standout athletes for sure. There's an athlete that's just about to come on the screen in the next couple of seconds called Fanny Blankers-Koen. Okay, she was a Dutch athlete. She won 4 gold medals. This is her here. 4. Okay, pretty impressive, right? In that photo you see, she's 6 months pregnant with her 3rd child. Didn't tell anyone until after the games had finished. And that, for me, is what the Olympics is all about. Jeez. Now, the Olympics themselves, of course they were founded in Greece. However, we actually have a much closer tie to the Olympic Games, and that comes with the Paralympics. Because in a little town about 45 minutes to an hour's over that way, my claim to fame is myself and my 3 brothers over here were actually all born in that hospital, where the Paralympics were founded. Okay? The man who created it, the reason he wanted to create it, was to create an Olympic Games for the less abled that would run parallel to the Olympics. Okay? And that is where the name comes from. Parallel Olympics. Paralympics. Now in 2012, because of that Stratford Village, we only hosted 1 event. Anyone want to take a guess what that might have been? Anyone? It was football, okay? And above me, you can see the crossbar that was used in the final games. Now, for the finals, it was Mexico versus Brazil. Who do we think would have won that one? Brazil had Neymar on their team, by the way. Any guesses? It was Mexico. Okay, Mexico did the impossible and Brazil cried the entire way home. Okay, Neymar was not enjoying it. Okay, so Mexico won the gold for the men's, and then for the USA, they won the women's gold as well. They were against Japan. Okay, it was a fantastic final, again played here. Now, before we leave, I've got to address the elephant in the room. This giant Olympic flag. Okay, these were actually hand knitted. Okay. So if you look close enough, you can see the stitching that goes into these flags. A lot of time and care taken on them. It is a tradition that you have to fly this flag above any stadium which hosts an Olympic sport, okay, any venue. And that was no different for us here in 48. And you can actually see this flag in the photo above one of our towers. Of course, the towers are what we were known for in the old stadium. Now, it is also tradition. You take down the flag, you fold it up nicely, and you pass it on to the next host city, which in 1952 was Helsinki. They had the games. However, this flag never made it there, because someone went, oh, that's my mother's Christmas present sorted, folded it up, put it to one side, completely forgot about it. 60 years later, when we knocked down the old stadium, we found it in the back of the cleaner's cupboard in a box of smelly socks. Okay, and the Olympic Society don't know we've got it. So if anyone's from the Olympic Society on tour today, you didn't see anything. Okay, very important. Now, is everybody okay with stairs today? Please make me aware if you are not. Fantastic. We are going to head down some stairs now, and on your left-hand side are some photos that celebrate the history of the last 100 years of Wembley, because in 1923 we opened our doors, and our first ever event here was an FA Cup final. In the old stadium, we had a capacity of around 140,000 people. 190,000 people showed up on the day. 50,000 people more than we can accommodate. To the point where everybody was on the pitch. The game could not take place. Until a man named PC George Story hopped on a white horse called Billy and rode it around the outside of the pitch to push all the fans back into the crowd. And of course we had to do something very British here and name our pub and our bars just after it. So of course, if anyone is drunk in a pub or a bar called the White Horse, that is where it gets its name from. Okay, 101 years ago in April, about 50 to 100 metres that way. And of course, as we say, history is made here at Wembley Stadium. So, welcome to the royal entrance. This is of course where the royal family will enter and exit the building. They'll come through the doors just over that side over there, and then we'll go straight up in the lift, okay? They never go up the stairs. The only royal maid to go up there is Harry when he misbehaves. Now, this area is kitted out to celebrate the Euros of '96. I say celebrate quite hesitantly. It seems to be England are the only squad to ever celebrate losing. But of course, it was a rather big event for us. As you see by the team photo over in the corner, number 6 is Gareth Southgate, now our ex-England manager. Now, many people obviously have their opinions on Southgate, but I personally think he's done absolutely fantastically. Mainly behind the scenes as well. He's implemented some rules which has changed the way that not only the women's football, but the men's football has played as well. And of course, Southgate and Serena Vega, they do work very closely together, and the success is evident. I mean, Euros finalists for the men's, back to back. Yes, unfortunately, we just don't know how to lift the trophy, but we're getting there, slowly. Qatar 2022, we did very well in that World Cup as well. And then of course we all know the Lionesses story as well. Okay, we won finally and then made it to last year's World Cup final against Spain as well. So super proud of them. If you guys could just make a little parting. Cheers. Thanks, mate. Okay, down the next section, this is known as what is called our Legends Corridor. If you don't have a photo, phone, camera, whatever it may be, now is your time to cry. Because down here, this gets pretty cool. We've got some signed players' boots, photos, shirts from some of the best players to ever walk the earth. I'm talking Pele, Maradona, Neymar, Messi, Ronaldo, and the world-class sensation himself, Eric Dyer. Okay? Contain the excitement and follow me. Whoa! And the glasses. Rich, keep your heads up and now the Legends Corridor.
Bueno, ellos son ingleses, pero dejaron Rashford. Es que es fanático de los ingleses.
It's good fun. It's good fun. It's nice. I was back around 4 months, so it's nice to be now again. So I'm producing their animation. So I've been for last 2.5 3 years professionally. I'm hoping to go back in the future. At the moment I'm trying to do my own stuff. On the side as well. So we're working for a company, it's a little bit restrictive as to what you can actually zone, okay? It was where the players mix with the media, hence the name. The media will go on this wall, the players go on that side. Of course, you guys are probably slightly familiar with this area when it comes to TV, film, things like that as well. This is, of course, where they'll have some post-match interviews. All of our players are contractually obliged to do an interview of some way, shape or form. It might just be a quick sort of yes or no answer. However, if they ignore the media, they can get in very big trouble. And of course, it's a sign of respect from the media to the players to answer those questions, because of course the media can then go away and belittle you on the internet and write horrible things about you, and you don't want that. Okay. The players, they will enter through the double doors just here, which does link to the service road. So as you head through, it's about 45 minutes apart from each team, and then as you head down, it's away to the right, home to the left. The first thing that Gareth Southgate did when he became England manager was flip those round. Okay, so the away dressing room, now the away dressing room, used to be the old home side. Of course, we know that he lost that '96 final there. So he flipped it round because Gareth Southgate is incredibly superstitious. Okay, and you may be thinking, right, well, what happened when it came to Italy versus England in last time's Euros here? We actually got stuck back in that that old home dressing room due to a flip of a coin. Okay, follow me. Spread out, guys. Take a seat. Yeah, Chris's group is literally just that in minus the press conference. The last place we can have the door now. Welcome to the press conference room. Again, like everything else here at Wembley, named pretty well. This is where the press conferences happen. Again, you guys are probably slightly familiar with this area from seeing online. Now, the squad announcements, everything like that will happen in this room. The man and the woman sat in this chair here will be the manager. Okay, so Serena Begum, or would have been Gareth Southgate, sat right there. You'll then have your captain on this side, so for example, Harry Kane, maybe Leah Williamson will be in the chair. Then you'll have our man of the match over this side, so Bukayo Saka, for example, could be in this chair right here, maybe Mary Earps. Down the end, you will then have a press officer, usually not on the camera, but their job is to tell our players what they can and cannot say. So they'll have those famous phrases like next question, no comment, things like that as well. And then right down the end will be a security. Again, not always on the telly. Up here, you also have all of our concert musicians, things like that. It is tradition you have to do a press conference in some way, shape or form. Ed Sheeran actually holds the record for the shortest press conference of about 4 minutes. He came in, someone said, "Did you have a good gig?" He said, "Yes," and then went home. That was basically it. So it really does depend on who you are and what your press conference is. But everybody who has ever performed at Wembley has sat up here. Up the back, you also have a big glass window. That is our translation booth. Much like today, we have many people from all across the world speaking many different languages. Okay, that translation booth will translate into up to 36 different languages at once, and it allows everybody to be on the same page and the same understanding. Okay. What we're going to do now, if you would like a photo up the front here, nice and quick for me. If we could stand up and form a queue on the left-hand side.
Moments that transcends all of music. Moments that have the world catching its breath. This is where legends become legendary. Where fans gather to witness history. Where hearts beat that little bit faster. Where emotions are supercharged. Sporting drama will happen at other stages. It will always matter more.
And heart and motivation as well.
Time to say it's a £5 tip per photo, guys. Okay. And last but certainly not, you all want to run out as well? Yes. Rich, I will try and be as quick as I can in here. So of course, you've got England legends down that side, England legends down the back, Champions League in the corner, some men's and some women's league over this side, signed shirts too. Over in the corner, don't miss it, a Euros exhibition including Chloe Kelly's match worn kit that she scored the winning goal for the Euros in. Down the back, you've got some signed and some more concert shirts. It is tradition that if you play a concert here, you have to sign a shirt for us. I personally prefer the tradition that Ed Sheeran started in 1998, which is when his mother was unable to buy him an England shirt because they came from a less fortunate background. So he had a shirt with 2 lines on it rather than 3. And now he finds it funny that he sells out Wembley Stadium 7 nights in a row and gets England shirts for free. So he started the tradition of getting people to sign an England shirt if they perform here. And AC/DC, which is the more recent shirt that you can see, they signed here a couple of weeks ago. Some different concerts and things, they do give us their own shirts. Blur, Green Day for example. I personally don't like those as much because I do think the England tradition is a nice one. However, it's still nice to have them. And then over here, last but certainly not least, we do have 2 random players. Never really heard of them before. They're supposed to be kind of good. Messiah and Ronaldo, something like that. And when you guys are taking a photo, take a seat for me.
Messi over here. So Messi.
This was the dressing room we opened with. This is our home side. We have an exact replica on the other side, both of this one and of the new dressing room as well. Any Ted Lasso fans in the house? Put your hands up. I know we have a few. There you go. You will definitely know the next changing room we head into, because they did use that in season 2. Spoilers if you haven't made it to season 2 yet, they end up going to Wembley. Of course, as I mentioned, the shirts that are in here. However, the reason we use the new dressing room, if I'm an England manager and I'm speaking to my squad, what is currently wrong with what I'm doing? I have my back to half the team. Turn around, exactly the same issue. Okay? Even if I stand just over here, sorry my friend, the people on the end and then bending around trying to break their necks to have a little look at us. Okay? They cannot be addressed to as one squad. And for a very long time, we forgot that. Pretty much all of these players that have played down here, we've had legends. We've had obviously Gareth Southgate, Alan Shearer, David Beckham, people like that representing the nation. Yet somehow we could not win a trophy, and that was because they absolutely hated each other. It was pretty much a Premier League inside an England squad. We were so divided. City, Chelsea, Arsenal, Man United, all split up into different factions. Okay, we did not want to play as one nation. We wanted to be the best we could be individually, and that was one thing that Southgate changed. And one of the ways he did that is in the new changing room, again, superstitiously, he put it in a horseshoe shape, which allows everybody to be spoken to. However, he also put in a rule that no 2 players of the same club squad will ever sit next to each other. So, for example, you'll see, as we head in there, number 4, Declan Rice, okay, Arsenal player. Sat next to John Stones, plays for City. Sat next to Harry Maguire, you could say plays for Man United, you could say he just sits on the bench. Who knows? Next to City, next to Liverpool, next to what would have been Tottenham, and it goes the whole way around the changing room. That is to help build those rivalries and make them into friendships, okay? Sometimes that doesn't work as well as others. Phil Foden was sat next to Ben White, and for those of you who know that story, we shall leave that one there, okay? Now, the other reason we use this area, so some of you from the US, you guys might be able to help me out with this one, but we have a slightly small event here every year called the NFL. You might have heard of it, American football. Now, by small, I'm completely joking, because I'm not sure if you've ever seen an American football player before, but they're about 7.5 metres tall starting height and 3.5 metres wide. These guys are buses, okay? How many players, does anyone want to take a guess, how many players do we use on one team here at Wembley Stadium on an NFL day? Any guesses? 54 on one team. These guys are so big, the doors behind me have to be taken off their hinges to allow them to walk through the building, okay? They are absolutely huge. There are 25 seats in this changing room. That's not even half an American football squad. On that note, follow me into the next room. Yes, what's your question?
Why were Messi and Ronaldo next to each other?
Because they're rivals. Who do you prefer, Messi or Ronaldo?
No.
Ronaldo. Hands up for Ronaldo. Hands up for Messi. Okay, it's pretty split. Hands up for I don't really care. Tends to be the case. Fair. Okay, so this is our warm-up zone. As the name suggests, this is where the players will warm up before a game. Of course, you've got our peloton bikes, there's a non-slip surface underneath for shuttle runs. However, this is my favourite room in the entire building. Okay, and you might be thinking, why? It's a giant white box, there's nothing in it. And it's because of what happens on an NFL day and a concert day. NFL, I've mentioned these guys are pretty big. You may think, right, professional athletes, they need lots of food to help them grow. They'll have a cheeky salad, maybe a little bit of chicken. No, you'd be sorely mistaken. A little bit of chicken is a slight understatement. That big back wall in an L shape, 26 different types of chicken. It's an all-you-can-eat buffet chicken bar, and they eat every single bit of it. Down this wall here, they are sponsored by Papa John's Pizza. Okay, they go through an average of 147 pizzas per team every single game. Okay, that's more than 2 pizzas each. They absolutely love it. And of course, they need as much room, so these big doors here, that's actually used to be a permanent wall, but we had to knock it down to allow them to walk through the building. Again, these doors do not exist throughout the months of October and November to allow them to walk through. Now, when it comes to concerts, performing at Wembley Stadium is one of the biggest things you can do as a musician. If you are asked to headline Wembley Stadium, you know you've made it. We've spoken to people like Ed Sheeran, Harry Styles, even Michael Jackson. People who have performed here 20 plus times, and they all say the exact same thing. That 20th gig makes them just as nervous as their first gig. Okay, so we want to give them an area to relax in, chill out, customise this area. We have regretted that a few times. 2 reasons of regret, one that I absolutely loved. The first regret, the Foo Fighters. We all know the Foo Fighters, right? Rock and roll. They turned this into a jungle. It was really, really weird. They brought big sort of plants and animals, and fake animals, obviously they were all made of plastic. However, I've never seen a giraffe in a rainforest. They clearly had. They brought a big waterfall in. It was very, very strange. Then when it came to Ariana Grande, she turned this into what was known as the pink fluffy room. Yes, it was as bad as it sounds. The walls, the floors, even the light bulbs, and the ceiling, not that it exists anymore, mainly because of her, were fluorescent pink. It was very, very interesting. And she bought big sort of sofas and things like that. She changed the door handles to be all fluffy and weird. And we'll move on. It was really strange. And then, my favourite example, 2017, One Direction did 5 nights here. They turned this into an arcade. Pac-Man, Space Invaders, asteroids dotted it all around the inside of the room. It was a fantastic sight. It was also the year that Fortnite came out, so they had a big TV screen over that side playing amongst each other as well. Rumour has it there was a janitor, guy doing some cleaning, who came in here and was asked to play a couple games with them. So for me, pretty cool day in the office. So, are we all ready to actually see the England home dressing room now, yeah? Yeah. Fantastic. Follow me. Yeah. They might have done one, Carl.
Oh, sorry, Jordan, play it.
Who's that one? Number 17, Jensen.
Hey, he's supposed to be.
You can spread right out in here, guys. Rich, in the main dressing room now.
Oh, pues.
teams. The Jordan Pickford gloves you see up there, JP, those are the ones that took us to the Euros finals. The Harry Maguire clockers over there, the massive flippers, those were actually washed 4 times before allowing them in the dressing room. That's how badly they smell. Kane over that way, the sort of yellowy greeny shoes, those were a match-worn hat-trick boot that he wore during his 66th appearance as a squad member. We then have Jill Scott just up there, those colourful boots. Many of you may know the story of Jill Scott. If not, she won a television show here in the UK called I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here, and as a result, women's football has grown exponentially. Now, between Jill Scott winning and that video going viral, that 2022 one I showed you slightly earlier, women's football has grown 4 times the size, okay? So 4 times as many viewers were watching last year's World Cup final against Spain as there was watching Germany in 2022. Over there, 22. Pretty nice in here though, right? Definitely worth the 1.7 million. Does look like something out of Star Wars though. I feel like I'm in the Millennium Falcon. Okay, and everyone scoot over this side for me. Take a seat if you'd like to. Take a seat. I will choose these 2 players. Oh, the glasses, yeah. Okay, so all of the shirts you can see, the elephants in the room, okay? They are all match official, meaning they have been worn for the most of them. The exception being James, number 7 for the Lionesses, because she did a dodgy slide tackle and therefore was not able to play in the game. However, the rest of them are. The reason that you can tell they are match worn not only is because some of them's got bits of dirt and things like that on them, however, all of the match official shirts have 2 things. Firstly, they will have the name and the number of the team that you play underneath. So for example, the men's shirts are all from the game we played against the USA in the Qatar World Cup at the end of November in 2022. The Lionesses shirts, exactly the same thing. It was against Colombia of last year's World Cup in Australia in August. Okay, so all of the time, every single time that we get a shirt against a team, we will have the nation played against and the date the game was played. Okay, very important. The only other thing that we have that the women's do not have thus far are 2 details. Number 1 is above the badge, you can see, or I mean you can try and see, you might need a magnifying glass, there is a star. Okay, we have won a World Cup. If anyone works for Nike, please don't make it the same colour as the shirt next time, because you can't see it. And the same is for the red shirt, same for the white shirt, you can never see the star. Which is slightly annoying, but we'll see if we can add to that in the future. But there is a star above there. The women's are yet to win a World Cup, so although their badge is far prettier, I must say, unfortunately they do not have a star. The only other difference is above them they will have what is known as a legacy number. This is an individual number given to the player, and that way they hold that for the rest of their life. This is who they are in England's history. So Jordan Pickford is the 1,225th player to have ever represented the nation, okay, to ever have put on a shirt. Now these numbers are sacred to them, so much so that Declan Rice actually has his tattooed above his right knee. Luke Shaw, John Stones, they were actually signed half an hour apart from each other, and this number is given to you when you sign the contract. Luke Shaw is the player 1,201. John Stones is 1,202. Okay, again, very secret numbers for these players. Now, can anyone tell me, what is the most important part of your shirt? Any guesses? It's not your number, it's not your name either. It's not the colour, it's the badge. Okay? It does not matter what you wear, it matters who you represent. And as I said, we forgot that for a very long time here in England. Now, every single game there are 4 shirts that are made. 1 for the first half, 1 for the second half. The third shirt may get sent to crowds, charities, whatever that may be. Okay, signed, given an auction. And the 4th shirt is the most important. And that is our 4th alternate, which gets put on if something happens to the badge. Okay, of course, if you've got a giant rip down the side of your shirt, you'll put on a spare shirt, which is shirt number 4. However, if, for example, Kylian Mbappe broke his nose in this year's Euros, if he got blood on his badge or something like that, then these would be the ones to replace them. Okay, and as I said, all the Lionesses shirts have been match worn because their second half shirt didn't show up. The Lion shirts were not. The other reason that we have the Lions shirts being the ones from the Qatar World Cup, not this year's Euros, is because they are all match official. So we are currently waiting on the ones to come back from Germany to then replace them. Okay? Does anyone have any questions about any shirts or anything in here? No. Is it anyone's birthday today, by the way? No. Okay, could I have a volunteer, please? Number one, number two, come to the front for me. Yes. Oh, it's Arsenal versus Arsenal. This is fun. So, I'm assuming you're going to pick Arsenal. Yeah? I'm assuming you're going to pick Arsenal. Yeah? You can also pick Arsenal if you want to.
I'm not.
You're not picking Tottenham. That's made that one very clear. You can be Arsenal as well. In today's slightly FIFA-style FA Cup game, it's Arsenal versus Arsenal. Okay, so you guys have a very difficult decision to pick here, especially my Tottenham fan. You're going to enjoy this one.
No, I'm not.
You're not. No. You're Arsenal. It's Arsenal versus Arsenal. Okay, you're the two captains today, and your job is to lead us out to pitch side of Wembley Stadium and lead the rest of the group as if it is an FA Cup final game. Yeah, that sound good? Fantastic. Grab your stuff. Follow us. Captains first. Captains come with me. Okay, nice. Two big lines for me. It's slightly strange, so you might have to curve it around. Okay, so please watch it. We'll go Arsenal one side and Arsenal on the other side. Nice big gap down the middle. Just move that way for me. Cheers, mate. Nice big gap down the middle. Arsenal and Arsenal, pick a side. Doesn't really matter. A couple rules before we head out today. Number one, please no running, especially because we are a tighter group. We've got one set of doors to get through today. Secondly, do not go beyond the barriers. Very important. Okay, I'll explain in a little bit about the pitch. Third and final rule, it's frankly quite frightening I even have to say this one, but please keep your clothes on. Okay, no streaking is allowed at Wembley Stadium. It has been broken. Okay, so very careful. So, are we ready? Arsenal team number one. Are you guys ready? Rubbish. I'll come back to you in a second. Arsenal team number two, are you ready? Arsenal team one, are you ready? That's better. So, my two captains, please lead your teams out to today's FA Cup final. Slightly straight away. Okay, it's 1-0. Okay, we're going to go best of three. Ready? Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Tell them about Arsenal. There you go, 2-1. Okay, so he will win on the clock, but Arsenal win either way. Give him a round of applause. Fantastic. So, captains come with you first. Everybody else, please watch your step. Take it at your own pace, because there's quite a few.
Sabato?
Okay, so welcome to the Royal Box, the most exclusive seats in the building. Okay, these are rather nice. They do come with a free bar and a 5-course meal. However, they are invite only. You cannot buy a ticket upwards. So if you're a member of Parliament, government, someone else, you can come sit up here. If you're a wife, a girlfriend, or in Kyle Walker's case both, then you also get to come and sit up here. Congratulations, okay? It's very nice. As you can tell from underneath you, it's very nice and padded. Yes, gentlemen. Jen's over there. Okay, so I'm at work. So, these seats at the front, the reason we cannot sit them is because they belong to the royal family. The guy who sits in this chair right here, Prince William, okay, chairman of the FA, massive Aston Villa fan, and he sits there with Prince George, and they watch their games, father and son, together. Okay. Now, 3 rules before we sit up here. Now, before I tell you them, just a show of hands, who would like to sit up here to watch your nation win the World Cup? Put your hands in the air for me. Yeah? Pretty much all of you. Let's see if that's still the case in a second. There are 3 rules you have to abide by. Rule number 1, a Mexican wave. If it's going around the inside of the stadium, everyone's going nuts. You're not allowed to do it. You are not allowed to do it. You have to stay seated. If you do it, there is the odd person. You'll probably get a big frowning face from the guy sat down here. Shall we break the rule? Starting from this side, we're going to go a Mexican wave all the way up to the end. Are we ready? 3, 2, 1. Woohoo! Fantastic. Everyone's getting arrested after the tour. No, I'm joking. Rule number 2. No club shirts. So, Manchester City, all you Arsenal guys, get out. Everton, out. I just saw you trying to cover that badge. Okay, out. No club colours. Okay, you're not allowed to paint your head the same as the England cross, nothing like that. They have to be completely neutral. Shirts, ties, things like that. When it comes to ties, it cannot have a logo on it. They are very particular about having certain colours. Obviously, if you're coming to watch an FA Cup final or something like that, the FA colours are red. So if your team is red, Manchester United, Liverpool, Arsenal, then maybe you can get away with that. Okay? There is one man to have ever broken that rule. Who do we think it might have been? It was Boris Johnson. Of course it was. Number 1 England rule breaker here. He came to an England game in an England shirt and we said, "Oh, John, mate, what are you doing? You knew what the rules were. It was in your contract." We actually had to send him to the next outlet outside to get a new jumper, and that way, instead of sitting where you guys are roughly, he now sits in the back corner as a punishment. Okay, lesson learned, shirt and ties only. Now, before we go on to the 3rd and final rule, do you guys think you can still sit up here on a World Cup final day? No Mexican wave, you have to wear a suit. Put your hands up if you're still in. Yeah? Mainly due to the free bar. Okay? The 3rd and final rule. This one's the kicker. If it is England versus Brazil in a World Cup final and Brazil score a last-minute goal, you have to stand and clap them. Ridiculous. If it is the other way around and England score, if Harry Maguire scores a last-minute bicycle kick from the halfway line, that is it. You are only allowed to clap them. You are not allowed to whoop, cheer, scream, shout, go absolutely nuts, okay? Theoretically. And that is because the man who sits in this chair is very, very famous for doing one thing when it comes to football. Going absolutely crazy, okay? If Prince William goes nuts, you are also allowed to go nuts, okay? That's part of the rule. Not one for him, not one for everyone else, which is most of the time why he does not sit there. Okay? He only sits there when it comes to an FA Cup event or something like that, because he is contractually obliged to hand over the trophy, which will be from this section just here. Okay. Now, any questions about the Royal Box? Fantastic. Just very quickly, the pitch itself, it is very, very wonderful. You guys can see it at the moment. It has been laid over the last 2 to 3 days. Of course, getting ready for the Community Shield this Saturday. It's over 100 metres long, 69 metres wide, making this the most versatile here in the UK. That allows us to have rugby, football, NFL, all those different events on the pitch, and it is a 3% plastic pitch, which basically binds the roots of the grass together to make it nice and strong. If you guys were watching the Euros, you probably saw big chunks of mud flying absolutely everywhere, and that is because they did not use that technique. It is also known as a lay and play pitch, which allows for a much quicker, efficient and cheaper turnaround. I say cheaper, it does still cost us just over £500,000 every time to relay a pitch, and conveniently they stuck a Community Shield in the middle of the Taylor Swift concerts, so in about 3 days time that'll all be gone, and cover it up with plastic and have to relay it again in a couple days. So an entertaining one. But it takes about 3 to 4 days to completely do from start to finish, and it is grown in an undisclosed location in London. It is then chopped up into 700 individual pieces of turf and then botanically sewn into the floor so those plastics can get at work. Okay? So it's a very, very highly maintained thing. It's maintained every single day of the year other than Christmas Day. It is beautiful, and of course the heart and soul of Wembley Stadium. Now, there is one thing that we have to do before we leave this area, and I like to leave it till last, okay? Because you guys have seen the legacy of this stadium, and that is test what is known as our Wembley rule. You heard the groups over there do it pretty badly. You guys are going to do it an awful lot better. Everybody stand up for it. Everybody up. No one's sitting today. Okay, so listen to me first and don't repeat. In the words of Freddie Noah. Okay? The reason that occurs is two ways. First, the big glass window you can see going around the bowl. In other stadiums, that actually has gaps in between the roof. And that is to help that airflow. As again, you can feel that airflow coming through. That's because we have those roofs. When the roof is shut, this place erupts. It is incredible. It's a giant amplifier. Okay? Now, the other way that occurs, the second reason, is all of our private boxes. They're actually at a 5-degree angle, which bounces the sound around the inside of the stadium to again help with those acoustics. So, on the count of 3, I'm going to get you guys to shout as loud as you can. Hello, Wembley. 2 words that every musician dreams of shouting when they walk out on a Wembley stage. So what we're going to do, don't do it yet. We're going to go 3, 2, 1, you're all going to go, hello, Wembley. When I do this, we cut off and we listen to the sound. Okay, it doesn't work if someone tries to be the longest or anything like that. Are we ready? 3, 2, 1! That was alright. I think we could do one better. 3, 2, 1! Yeah? There are 40 of you. Imagine 90,000 people screaming your name when you walk out on a Wembley stage. 90,000 people when you hit the ball in the back of the net and you change your country's legacy forever. You become a legend here at Wembley Stadium. That is what makes this the greatest music and sports venue to ever exist. Okay? Anyone else ever doubts you, get them to come on the Wembley tour, change their mind. That, ladies and gentlemen, was Wembley Stadium. Grab all your stuff, we're going to head back inside for a few little more things. Okay? This way. These sort of silver lines you can see in the floor, okay? They might be slightly uninteresting to some of you. However, they are one of the most important parts of this stadium. They are basically giant shock absorbers. If anyone's played tennis before, you have that little thing on your racket to stop it doing that, that's basically what these do, okay? They absorb all the kinetic and the sound waves that are thrown around the inside of the stadium, and they then throw it to the outside, okay? So you can imagine 90,000 plus people going absolutely nuts for certain individuals 7 nights in a row. This definitely feels it, okay? So it absorbs all the kinetic and the sound waves and it shoots it into the surrounding areas. And without them, Wembley would not exist anymore, okay? If anyone comes to a concert at any point, take 5 to 10 seconds, come outside, look above you, and you will genuinely see the floor moving. Completely made to do so, completely safe. However, it is a fantastic thing. And without these guys, generally, these are the unsung heroes that everybody just walks over and doesn't think anything of. And then, of course, we've got the dressing elephants in the room, and by them I do mean, of course, our lions. There are 3 of them, and they are all made of recycled parts to the old Wembley Stadium. The one on the right-hand side is pieces of wood and cardboard. The one in the middle is structural support beams, and the one on the far left is matchday programmes, beer bottles, and the red parts are actually the seats of the old Wembley. Feel free to take a photo, just please do not touch. Okay, very expensive.
They're amazing, aren't they? No touching them.
Guys, come over to us, please. Thank you. Guys, come over here. You guys seated at the bug bar, please. Thank you. Please follow me down to the escalators.
Yeah, so because they have like full things.
So, we're going to head towards the stadium store now, which is where you can buy the shirts, things like that. We do have replica shirts as well as the current England kits. And you can get them customised, get your name on the back, things like that as well. If you are already wearing an England shirt today, or anyone is, you can also get your shirt name on the back of the shirt if you'd like to. But before we do, we're going to head down memory lane, which is a look at the history of music here at the stadium. The second part of the corridor is dedicated to more recent artists such as Adele, Ed Sheeran, Harry Styles, Taylor Swift returning to. However, the first part of the corridor is by far the best. 1985, we hosted the greatest concert to have ever been held. Now, I wish I could have seen it in some way, Live Aid. Okay, 16 hours of live music between here and Philadelphia, all for charity, and some of the greatest artists to ever walk the earth. Okay, it was absolutely perfect. So we'll head down there, celebrate a little bit of that, and I'll give you a final finish up at the stadium store. But from myself, from the FA and Wembley and all that, thanks for coming. But from myself, thank you very much. As I said at the beginning, it's a bit of a hectic day today. We've got a lot of people in the building, and obviously when we have international audiences, as well as it being in the middle of the British summertime, it gets very stressful. You guys have been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for laughing at my stupid jokes and for just being well behaved. And if you do want to leave a TripAdvisor review or get your guide or anything like that, it means the world to me and it helps me out a lot more than you guys can ever know. So again, my name is Lewis, and it was a pleasure to take you around and talk to you today. So thank you very much. Follow me, we're going to head towards the stadium store now, okay? Yeah.